Hey everyone, it's John Corella, one of the co-creators and executive producer of Dance Moms. The podcast with Sarah Christine Smith was really good and fun and meaningful. And actually, I got to myself get to know her more and realized how much similar we are. We talk about self-doubt, fear, being shy, and how she deals with that and what helped her to fall in love with acting. There's a key moment that happened when she was on the set of Boy Meets World. We talk about her time in Nobody's Angels. If you want to dance, all of you listening, their hit single, her time dancing with Britney Spears, pre even being Britney Spears, just walking around the mall with her and nobody knowing who Britney is, and her love for teaching, and just getting to know more of her, kind of as like she said, we did a 2 feet jump in with both feet. So that is definitely what we did. We jumped in with both feet in this podcast. And I learned so much more about Sarah Christine Smith. So here we have up next, Sarah Christine Smith. Hello, everyone. This is a new special. We are moving from dance moms, drag queens, professional dancers, now to someone I know that is a professional dancer still and transitioned into acting and singing. You all know her from Nobody's Angels, I'm sure. And I'm just going to leave it at that, and we'll talk about all the other stuff. But Sarah Christine Smith.
Hi, John. How are you?
Hi, Sarah. You look so great.
Some years. It's been some years since I've seen you, but you look awesome. And I'm so happy to be connected with you again.
I'm happy to be connected with you again, too. And I know everyone listening is, too, because like I said, they know you from Nobody's Angels. I know you from Austin Powers.
Yep.
I know you from doing Third Rock with the Sun with Marguerite when we got that first. I think that might have been Marguerite's first Emmy. I think it was, actually. I remember.
I think it was her first Emmy.
Yeah. So we experienced that. You being on Drake and Josh. I don't know you as that, but I know listeners do, especially those Nobody's Angels fans, as you said, the girlfriend of which one?
Josh. Christine. I played Christine. Yeah.
Oh, Christine. Oh, middle name. Mm-hmm. How perfect.
I know.
I want to share more of these voices of dancers who have transitioned into other things outside of dancing. So you have been a part of this. I just feel excited. On that note, we're going to start with, you're going to be a part of this great group. I do these 4 questions to get us open and amazing and feeling.
I heard about this because I've listened to a couple of the episodes of your podcast, and I think they're great. And I think that giving this information to the dance community is wonderful. So kudos to you for providing this information for everybody. And I'm excited. When I saw the questions, I was like, oh, I don't want to really know them because I want them to be spontaneous and in the moment. So I was expecting them, but I didn't really sit with them. So
maybe I'll switch them up a little bit then.
Oh, okay.
I'll give you, okay. Look at you, dancer, preparing, listening, wanting to be prepared.
I never choreographed my improv. I just want to put that out there. I know dancers who choreograph their improv for auditions.
I feel though you had a couple tricks you knew you were going to pull out.
Oh, I did. Oh, for sure. I had a couple in my back pocket that I always pulled out.
Me too. So how are you feeling?
I'm feeling nervous and excited. And I know those two feelings live side by side in our brain.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's like that, like energized, nervous, a little buttery fly feeling. It's good. I like it.
I love that you said nervous and excited, because I heard recently where I take class for acting from Howard Fine, that really just nervousness is not breathing. Excitement is nerves with breathing. So, and I'm going to go in the middle of this too to kind of make you feel comfortable. So then I'll answer. Usually I take a break, but how am I feeling? I am feeling peaceful and just confident that this is going to be a really good conversation with a friend I've known for a long time and a colleague.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that.
Where do you feel this nerve excitement?
In like my rib cage, which is kind of an odd place. I typically don't feel it there. I usually, like, if I'm super nervous, I'll feel it up here, and then I know I need to breathe to just, drop everything. Or I feel it like lower in my belly, but right now I'm feeling it in my rib cage.
Where do I feel it? The peace. I feel it in my feet.
You're grounded. Hey.
I feel it in my feet. What color is this feeling of nerves and excitement in your rib cage?
Yellow pops into my mind right away.
I love that color.
Yeah.
Color of this peaceful in my feet is, I guess, the color of ice. So maybe white.
Yeah.
But yeah, white. I'll say white. What is this excitement nerves in your rib cage that is yellow saying to you, Sarah Christine Smith?
It is saying, I hope I can provide valuable information to you and your audience. That is my intention going into this. And I think as performers, we put expectations on ourselves, which is where the nerves is coming from. Right. And then the excitement, I think, is just being here with you, connected eye to eye. We haven't had a conversation eye to eye in years. So I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
Do you feel, because this has kind of been an ongoing thing, talking so far, sometimes, but a lot of the times, especially in this, well, the podcast will already have been out that comes out this Friday. It's Dance Competition Performance Tips. So it's been about nerves for dancers, performers, athletes. Do you feel that having expectations, because you said about performing, of expectation of performing, as I feel dancers have it more than anyone, like an athlete. Do you feel that's really kind of packaged in with worrying? That expectation and worrying about what's going to happen are the same?
Oh, yeah. They're closely related for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
go ahead. No, you go.
I think you could break down the worry and expectation even more, depending on the person, right? And depending on whatever performance they're about to do. Somebody might be worried that they're not going to hit their turns, or somebody else might be worried about what their friends think. Another person might be worried that their costume is going to break in the middle of it because they feel like it's not fastened properly. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many different worries and expectations. Like, maybe someone's I hope that everyone dances for themselves and for the love of dance, and not to appease their teacher or appease a parent, right? So breaking down those two things and knowing where your personal worry or expectation is coming from, and then taking it from there, I think is really important.
It is.
Yeah.
And I've been taking, do you know Alexander technique? Have you ever taken that?
I haven't, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
And it kind of unpacked a lot of that for me, where I always thought my expectation was, or my fear, anxiety was from, the performance, the scene, the dance. When I unpacked it, it's more about what's going on off stage in the audience, judgment, fear. I know that stems from knowing I've been gay since I was younger. So bringing that and having negative experiences of people judging that part in me. And so I'm supposed to put it on stage for everyone to see. And that was something new. And I think that's one thing that's good to know is that everyone has it's different, like you said, and pain is pain and fear is fear, but it's different for everyone, where that's a pretty heavy thing to bring on the stage, what I just said.
Oh, absolutely. Well, yeah, because it's personal. Not that we don't take our dancing personally, right? But like that's also there for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like your expression of your art is there, but then you're also expressing who you are inside, and you feel like off stage and on, like you're watching yourself. You know what I mean? You can't be your true expression of you probably, and I'm maybe putting words in your mouth, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you were probably holding back maybe a little bit of who you really were on and off stage. So that question mark was maybe there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think I do that in my, I think I carry that out and throughout, not just performing. I think I bring that into a room of new people and that part in me that feels it's going to be judged.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really good for anyone listening. Especially, I feel as dancers, you don't have to unpack as much. You kind of unpack your physicality, but my experiences was all emotional stuff I had to deal with on my own.
Mm.
And when you go into acting, it feels more accepting to talk about, because you're dealing with your emotion and the character's emotions in life. Feels more accepting to unpack all of that. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, holy crap. Me moving out to LA, I never wanted to be an actress. I was shy. Like if having a conversation like this with somebody, like social anxiety, it put me in front of people to speak. Oh, hell no. Like,
Nobody's listening, Sarah. No one is listening right now.
It's just you and me. And then, a few years, it was actually our Nobody's Angel when we were on Boy Meets World, because we were going to have a TV spinoff from Boy Meets World on ABC. And we did a guest star role on that. I forgot what year it was, maybe 1999. And we had a meeting with the showrunner, and he had us all talk about our real lives. It was like a therapy session that I had never had before. And I cried.
Oh, that's good. You were open.
It is that vulnerability of how do you put yourself into this role, yourself. And I think with dance, we are emulating the choreographer. We're being molded into something. Whereas I think not always, I mean, that's such a generalization. But I think as acting, you're a single person who needs to grab onto a role in your own unique way. Mm-hmm. So digging into yourself and how you interpret things and maybe how you view the world, because everyone views the world differently. What can you provide for this role that's going to make you castable and what's going to make you unique, right? So diving into, so from that role on Boy Meets World and going, oh, wow, that felt very vulnerable, but also amazing. I was like, maybe I want to take acting class. This is maybe the route that I want to start planting a seed in. Because as we know, dance careers only last so long. So yeah, that was kind of the route that I wanted to take once my dance career not ended, because I still dance, but like, veer off a little bit and try some different avenues.
And I am totally listening to you. There is a huge spider right here that I need to get rid of. And I'm going to stop this. Okay, everyone. First of all, thank you for saying that. That felt so good. But also, everyone, I had to just get off real quick because there was a huge spider and it was a moment. So thank you, Sarah, for not judging me and how I reacted to the spider.
No judgment here whatsoever. Rest in peace, little one.
So, now you're telling them. Thanks a
Oh,
lot.
sorry. It's okay. We've all killed spiders before.
I know. I just feel so bad, but it was a quick one. Anyways, on that, no judgment. So you're not judging me. So we were talking about how your experience going into acting, your first experience sounds pretty scary, but also freeing. And you made a decision to pursue it more. So after that, how did you go about in pursuing it after Boy Meets World?
I started taking class. I started taking class as a true dancer, like studying my craft, getting into it. I went to Leslie Kahn first, and I was there for years. I studied under John Rosenfeld. He has his own school now. He's great. I learned so much, and I went about it as a true dancer. Like, I learned the technical aspect of breaking down scripts first. Kind of like, I was like, oh, this is like ballet class. I'm really learning the technique and breaking it down. And then I also studied understanding Marshall, which was very Meisner technique and very in the moment, organic sort of way of looking at things, right? So for me, that worked awesome because I had two very different techniques and I kind of molded them together to be able to look at scripts. I felt in a technical way and also a organic feeling way. Yeah, and I loved both classes so much. And it, yeah, like it's just like dance. When it feels good, it feels good. You get into that flow and you kind of get that like performance high and almost ask yourself when it's done, like, what the hell just happened? Because you were so in the moment, right? And that's when I fell in love with acting. And looking back at my childhood, my mom gave us chores growing up. One of them was to clean the sinks with soft scrub. And I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. And I would make commercials as I was cleaning. I would be like, look, and this side is cleaner because I used soft scrub. So it was always in me to act and to create these worlds and be creative. I think just going through those teenage years, we kind of suppress that, like, we're just self-conscious, right? Those are those awkward years. And then when I felt more comfortable with myself as an adult, I was like, no, this is actually like super scary and totally out of my comfort zone, but it feels awesome. So, yeah.
How did you get comfortable with yourself too? You said, those awkward years. What made you get comfortable with yourself?
That is such a good question. And I don't know that I have one answer for it. I think just maturity and living life is a huge one. Like, sometimes you just need to get years under your belt. However, I do feel like teens and younger people now, like in their 20s, they've created more of an atmosphere where they talk about their feelings more and are more comfortable with saying, I don't like this, or this is me. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like,
self-esteem.
Yeah. Yes, totally. Whereas I feel like when we were younger, we were more told what box we fit in.
We didn't have a choice. We talked about that in the dance competition tips,
Okay.
that choice, that's very important in developing a child's ability to feel powerful, ironically, even for them to say no.
Totally.
To say in that moment, let's say even that moment you didn't feel comfortable opening up to the showrunner. You didn't have to open up.
Right.
You can say, no, I don't want to, and be respected, not judged for that.
Yeah.
But then what usually happens, she said, is then you're developing choice. So you have the power to then say yes.
Right. Yeah. And assess the situation in the moment. Right. And probably have a quicker response to whether something feels comfortable or not. Yeah. But like for me, I think it was time. And I'm 46 and I still question who I am and what I'm all about and what my values are. And I think that I hope that I'm always questioning that. I hope I never am content with who I am. Like I
And
always
who
want to be
taught you how
growing.
to be that way? Because yes, you're 46, and I know you whispered it, but
I should
that's
say it
an
loud and proud,
amazing
right?
number.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I'm
totally.
40. My age is 47, you know. Um, so I'm older than you. But you look 26. You've always been so physically beautiful. You've always been so talented. You don't have to question anything.
Yeah, and I am.
What I'm saying is, why I think it's good that you do question, but you could rest on that. You could just be like, hey, I look this way. I know I'm talented. I don't have to listen to you all.
Yeah, and that is a part. I think I do live with that for sure. Like confident in who I am as far as what I'm capable of. Um,
I think what I'm saying is that maybe what you talked about an instance, and I hope it's okay we talked about this, of where everyone, she also still teaches dance. We're going to talk about that later, how she has not given up her love for dance, where I do feel a lot of people who quote unquote move on from dance try and keep distance from it, but Sarah doesn't. But you talked about a student who is transgender in your class, and obviously a lot of views had to be questioned around that, or questions. And what I'm saying is, because of your privilege, because of who you are, you didn't have to do that. So who taught you how to do that, to question things?
I don't ever pretend I know everything. And I don't always pretend my view is the right view. Right? Like I really try to keep my ears open and see it from all points of view. And I don't always agree with all points of view, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where the maturity and the confidence has developed in me. But I just love people. I love people who are different than me. I love
And who taught
listening.
you that? Who taught you that? Because there's a lot of women in your position that are not like that. They want the world of Stepford Wives.
Mm, I don't know, other than maybe my parents. Um, but I don't know if I can confidently say them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the curiosity in me in people has always been there.
Maybe
Um,
your art, maybe our art, because maybe acting, acting, you have to definitely be curious. You
yeah,
can't think you know someone.
yeah, and I think the dance world. I love the dance world. I love it. I mean, growing up in Detroit, Tremaine used to come to Detroit, LA Underground before it was LA Dance Magic, LADM, like having all of those experiences with all that diverse group of teachers was so inspiring to me. And there was no one person on the staff that was the same, right? Like they were like Jackie,
Christian.
Marcia, like,
oh, you're saying when you were taking, not when you were teaching. Got it.
Yeah, when I was taking, right? So like, I think listening, they all, Doug, Marcia, Jackie, Joe, like they all had very different points of view.
Who was your favorite to take from?
I don't know.
Mine was Doug.
I loved Doug. I used to sneak over to Tremaine when I was on scholarship at the Edge to take his class.
Ooh, bold.
His Marguerites and Wade's, truth be told.
Did you have a Marcia leotard?
Oh, I totally did. I totally did. Yeah. No, I loved Marcia Lane. Oh my gosh. But see, that's where like I didn't have a favorite. I love,
and maybe it is. I do feel why I say your love for art and acting, and you said dance, is that you wouldn't have been exposed to that if you didn't dance. You wouldn't have been exposed to a Doug, Marcia, who's fierce in her own way at such a young age, a Jackie, a strong woman, a Joe, a gay man. You maybe would not have been exposed to that.
Probably not. I lived in the suburbs, an hour north of Detroit. I lived in a little town called Clarkston, and it was Whitesville. Like it was, right. And I'm so thankful that those conventions came to Detroit, because I was just exposed. Wow. What? And I think that's my approach on life too, is like, ooh, wow, new, different. Let me see what's going on.
Do you live in the suburbs now, so to speak?
I sure do.
How does that work, that mentality in the suburbs?
I really hope my kids get the hell out of here when they graduate high school and go experience the big city. I do. I really do. And look, I love where I live. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful place to raise kids. The industry is coming here. Like there's so many movies and stuff that are being shot here, and I'm so thankful and grateful for those opportunities. But I really hope they go out and experience different cultures and different worlds. And we try and travel as much as we can to go see different cultures. Like we're going to Thailand this summer for 2 weeks to just go.
That's great that your kids or the studio is going to Thailand? My
kids.
So I was like, wow, you're taking the whole studio.
No,
that's great. And also the thing about too, growing up is, I was privileged where my parents were able to pay for me to get out of the city. So there also comes a sense of some people don't have the economic means to get out of the city. And that's obviously a deeper topic, but something to think about on how we can expose them that can't get out of the city. Whether, like you said, maybe it's the way that you're saying the film industry is coming into where you live now. But I'm realizing that more and more, because not everyone can just get up and go and move out of the city.
It's true. Yeah, it's so true. And I think also, social media, right? Like you can, I think my kids being on social media see different cultures and different ways of living and stuff through that, which I think is like a beautiful, beautiful thing. So I am very thankful for social media for that aspect, that it's not just what's in your immediate vicinity, but like your world is actually bigger than the city that you live in.
I like this conversation, how it's going in the sense of what acting teaches us, what dance teaches us, what it exposes us to.
Expanding on my road from dance to acting, I think what dance provided me was structure. Also, the you had to be able to be molded, right? Like going along the lines of like all the different teachers that I loved, and I can't pick a favorite. Like you had to mold to that choreographer, and become emulate them, right? Like you had, it was almost becoming a different character, right? And the little nuances that certain choreographers would like and in their choreographer or in their choreography, you had to pick up on and execute, right? To because most of the time you're a core dancer, right? Like rarely did we have solos, right? As professional dancers, like you had to fit the mold. So I think by having that foundation as a dancer really helped me move into acting because I could create different characters. I understood the little nuances that could make a difference, right? And also working with directors, them giving notes and being able to tweak those in the moment as you would with choreography, right? I think just that bridge over into acting made the most sense to me. And I do, like, I hope dancers, when you're on set, be curious. When you're in the studio, be curious. And I think if I had to go back in time, I would tell myself to be more curious when I was younger. As far as, if you're working with a choreographer and you see them change something or you really like something that they did, in the opportune time, ask them, okay, why did you change that? I'm curious. I'm trying to learn more about choreography. Or
you have some really nice choreographers, because I would be afraid to ask some of the choreographers that I worked with.
And that's what I mean. Find the opportune time. So you're not going to do that in the middle of rehearsal, raise your hand and be like, hey, why did you change that? I'm just curious, right? Like, no. But like if there's a break, if you get there early, if you stay later, and that's the thing. It's like, I think times have changed too, as far as like, there is a hierarchy, but I feel like they're more accessible now. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think than when we were.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Okay.
And I think the younger ones that came up after us, choreographers.
Yeah.
They probably are even more accessible. You said something how you love the dance community. Do you feel they support dancers that want to transition out of dance, especially their good ones, and move on to acting?
I always had support from my dance agents. I did. Brianna at Clear Talent, I was with her, and I was with Lainey at Block. And they were both super supportive. And I know that that's not always the case. What I found moving into acting was that my acting representation was unsupportive of me continuing to dance.
Interesting. Actually, thank you for that reminder, because I do remember that too.
Yeah.
And so that's good to be. It's not always, I've experienced in my life that the dance community my experience has been that has not been super supportive of me doing things like Dance Moms, even a reality show before it was Dance Moms about dance.
And do you mean not supported by your peers or not supported by your representation?
I'm maybe the community.
Okay.
More of the community. I think I told you once how before Dance Moms, when I was trying to sell it, it was another dancer that told me it wouldn't sell. So it's not as collaborative as acting is. I think we discussed that too.
But do you think that was more out of jealousy?
Yeah, but I haven't felt that kind of jealousy with people who act. I haven't.
Right. I mean, like the person who said that to you, do you think they were just like, maybe a dream crusher. Like
Of
not,
course.
yeah,
But I think maybe there's more dream crushers. What is that? I think it's called the lobster effect, where they put all the lobsters in
right.
and
And
then
they're all,
one tries to get out and they pull it down. I feel that more in the dance world,
hmm,
because what we go through is highly competitive,
yeah,
more so than, and then I want you to interject, more so than when you go and act, it's you in a room. It's not your other 10 types. They might be in the lobby, but they're not in the room when you're doing the scene or even for the screen test.
yeah,
So, where dance, that competitiveness is right, you're standing right next to them.
yeah. And you're
So, it's not
fighting
as
to be,
collaborative.
yeah, you're fighting to be seen with the person next to you. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a different beast. And when I tell people who are not in the dance world that like you stand in a line and you get cut or you say stay, like it's a chorus line.
I sometimes I go back and think of what I did from 18 to 24.
Yeah.
Those, when I was like hustling.
Yeah.
I can't believe the auditions I put myself through.
Yeah. I was recently back in LA talking with someone and they were like, you get burnt out, right? Like you get burnt out of the industry and everybody does because it's hard. I'm not going to lie. It's a flippin' hard industry, physically, emotionally, mentally, um, everything. It is hard. And there are very traumatic moments. Like when I took a hiatus when I had my kids and when I started auditioning again, I was like, oh my God, I feel like I have PTSD. Like all of a
Mm.
sudden, these doubts about myself started creeping in after years
Mm.
that they hadn't showed up. Um, yeah, just like a sense of depression when I didn't get a job started
Mm.
setting in that I what hadn't experienced in years. Like, yeah, it was really interesting to kind of do that. I had to journal it out because I was like, where is this coming from? Of course, all of these doubts are boiling back up, even though, like, in my mind, I had a successful dance career. I'm really proud of my dance career. And overall, it was positive. I felt overall I had people that supported me, but maybe that's looking at it through rose colored glasses because sometimes when things do pop into my head, I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe that happened. Can I tell you a story?
Yes,
Okay.
please do.
And I'm not going to say any names because I do love these people. And one of them has apologized to me.
Well, good. And it's your
um,
experience. This is your emotional experience.
yeah. And kind of going back to your, uh, your reality of not feeling supported in the dance community. So I was on scholarship at the Edge the first year that I lived in LA. And I lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 other people. So 2 of us were in each bedroom, right? We shared bedrooms. This was probably mid-year, so let's say after the new year. So we had been living together for a couple months. And I came home one day and I had 3 new roommates. I was never asked. I was never told this was going to happen. It was 3 other people I was on scholarship with. Like
So, how many people were in there?
there was only 4. The 3 people moved out and 3 people moved back in or
Oh, okay.
moved in. So I
Got
had
it.
3 new roommates. The 3 old roommates moved out without telling me. And I had to continue being cordial with these people on scholarship, but I think luckily I was so focused in what I wanted, which was to become a professional dancer, that I was kind of like, whatever. And decades later, one of them apologized to me and said that was really mean. And it was out of jealousy.
Mm.
And I was like, thank you. And that was really shitty. Excuse the language. But that's a reality of what can happen in any industry, really. Like if there's jealousy or, like you will quickly find your people, I think, that you can trust, or quickly find the people you can't trust.
And were these people that they moved out because or this at least one person moved out because they felt jealous?
Yeah.
And that's something I'm sure. How do you, because I'm sure you feel that now. Jealousy doesn't, we feel jealous, but jealousy from other people. How do you deal with, how did you and how do you deal with jealousy
That's
directed towards you?
what's that?
Directed towards you.
Yeah. One thing that I noticed moving up to Canada, there's a lot of cultural differences. And when I moved up here and people found out I danced with Britney and people found out I danced with Justin and whatever, they were like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. Like, what was that like? And they started asking me questions and really wanting to find out about my experiences. And that was new to me. I was like, oh my gosh, they're interested in me. Like they're interested in my experiences, where I think in the LA scene, it's like, oh, that's nice. And they kind of turn a cheek and don't really ask the questions that maybe they want to know, but it's their jealousy that just got turned on and they don't make a big deal about it. You know what I mean?
Because, yeah, I do know, because it is such a competitive environment.
Yeah.
That's kind of exactly what I was saying. Did you feel that same type of, did you ever feel that type of jealousy as you're acting? Because you're acting right now. Do you still feel that on set at times from other actors?
No, I
Yeah.
don't. However, it's a new age of self-tape. So I'm not in the room with 10 other people that look like me up for the same part. Do you know what I mean? So we're so far removed from each other, and me especially, because I live 4 hours outside of Vancouver. So I'm shooting a trilogy right now, and I am one of maybe 4 people in the cast that is local. Everybody else is from Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
And the 3 other people that I know that are doing it, like I know, but
You
not
know
through
them,
the
they're
movie
friends.
industry. Like it's crazy. Like one of them is like a dad that's on the hockey team with me, or with one of my kids, fellow hockey dad.
Can you say what it's going to be on? Is it going to be on a network?
It is. It's going to be on a network. I can't say though. I can't say what it's called or anything. It's so fun.
Do you know
I
when
can't
it
wait to
comes
talk
out?
about it. I don't know when it's going to come
Okay.
out.
Well, everyone, we'll make sure to, when it does come out, even it's after the podcast airs, I'll make sure to post something about it for them all to watch you in it.
Yeah. Like we only started shooting last week and we have 3 movies to do. So we're shooting 3 movies in 6 weeks. It's a really quick turnaround. But I would suspect it won't come out for at least a year, something like that. But yeah, I'll give you all the deets. I love my character. She's so fun.
What kind of characters do you love to play?
I love very outgoing, very outgoing, maybe a little bitchy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of characters.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah,
at the end, I'm going to ask you some questions too to kind of help pull that out of you.
sure.
Yeah. And you said something too, how were you said you got a lot of pushback from some agents, acting agents, that wanted you to distance yourself from acting.
Mhm.
How were you able to deal with that? And because it doesn't seem like you've distanced yourself with your dancing.
Yeah, I mean, it's different for me now than it was when I lived in LA and balancing an acting agent and a dance agent, right? I don't have a dance agent up here. I just have an acting agent, and my dance is my teaching. So I can create my own schedule and I can kind of manipulate that side of my professional world to the needs of my acting world. So it's a little bit easier to balance. But when I was in LA and I had the two different agents, it was hard. Like, I remember a couple times it was like, you booked this dance job and you booked this acting job, and there's a date that overlaps. Which one are you going to choose? And I believe every time I chose the acting job, for a couple of reasons. One, because I was trying to break into that industry, right? So I felt like that was the smart choice to make as far as longevity goes. And I also kind of knew, as a dancer, I was in a corps. I was one of many. And even though I felt bad, turning stuff down, because you never want to do that, it was something that I had to do, and lots of apologies, but it was hard, right? Because you never want to turn down work at all, but it always,
Choice. It was your choice.
yeah,
Like we said earlier, you made a choice, and some people liked it and some people didn't.
yeah. And you're not always going to make everybody happy, right? And that's a piece
do
of
you
me.
feel that when we were dancing, because I know dance has changed so much. So
Yeah.
first of all, if So You Think You Can Dance was on when we were around, we would have totally been on it.
Totally. Oh my gosh. You and I would have been partnered up and we would have
Yes.
killed it. Yes.
So outside of that, everyone, this was a different time. It was not, there wasn't Dancing with the Stars was not on. So You Think You Can Dance. It was strictly LA is a commercial dance.
Yeah.
Did you feel, well, I'll say me, I didn't feel that at times why I moved out of dancing and wanted to do more, as whether it's acting or producing, is it wasn't fulfilling me anymore. I wasn't feeling it just didn't feel, dancing in a bear costume for David LaChapelle didn't feel meaningful.
Right. That's where I turned to class. I loved taking dance class. I lived and I breathed for it. That's what fulfilled my big creative and therapeutic release, was dance class. And I never stopped taking dance class. Who
was your go-to dance class?
Helene Phillips.
Ooh, I didn't know you were a Helene girl.
Ooh, big time. Yeah, big time. She is amazing.
That's where all the legends go, everyone. Is she still teaching?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone go and take Helene's class and just be curious. Ask everyone what they've done in there, and you're going to meet some legends like Sarah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. She taught me, I think, my biggest lesson, going from a competition dancer to a working dancer. And that was to not be so consumed in pointing my feet and straightening my legs and being rigid. It's make the audience feel something.
Like
and when
acting.
you have the good technique already, and that's a great foundation, trust that it's there and let it go, because it'll just happen. Being a competition dancer, if you've been trained the right way, your technique is phenomenal. Trust that it's there. Trust that it'll back you up, and get into how dance makes you feel and the story that you're telling through your movement.
I didn't realize this, but you and I are very similar with our strengths and weaknesses.
Okay.
Yeah, because that was something that I was always, she didn't tell me that, but that I was hard for me because
Mm.
the rigidness made me feel safe and hidden a little bit. Not a little
Interesting.
bit, a lot. So having to be vulnerable,
Yeah.
felt terrifying.
Yeah. And that's where, when I'm working with soloists now, you know, at the beginning of the year, we really work on the technique and the structure of it. And then we talk story. It's all about story. Like the moment before you go on stage, what's your story? Why are you going out there? What do you want to tell the audience? What do you want to make them feel at the end? And whatever story you create in your head doesn't need to be the same thing that they could regurgitate you at the
Yeah,
audience
nobody
member.
knows it.
Nobody knows it, but as long
That's
as
the
they,
part of being creative. That's creativity as a dancer.
yeah,
In acting you can do that. You can create what happened the moment before if it's not in the script, as long as it's
yeah, as long as it
contained,
flows.
it's not something like I went to Mars and came back home.
Yeah,
Um it's so good that you're teaching that. And I can tell on your social media how much you love teaching.
I do.
It's bold to do what we do, everyone that's listening. And if you want to do it, you can do it and it's going to feel uncomfortable. But like Sarah said, like that Boy Meets World experience, it felt uncomfortable, but then so freeing that she realized, I want to do this again.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think pushing past our comfort zones, stepping outside of the norm is scary, but also gives us confidence and creates character and growth. And that's ultimately what we want in life. And especially as performing artists,
How
right?
is it? I mean, I see some jerseys behind you. So how is it with the artist, a dancer, well, someone who dances, someone who acts? Sarah
Yeah.
is more than that. Being married to someone who was a hockey player, a professional hockey player for years, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we come from two different worlds for sure. I think sometimes I have to be a big voice in my house because my three boys play hockey. My husband teaches and coaches hockey players. So my world is a bit foreign to them as far as the performing arts go. And I think sometimes I have to advocate for myself as far as the importance of it,
Mm.
which I'm fine doing. Sometimes it's exhausting, but I think the dance industry and performing industry, but especially dance choreography and choreographers, like they're speaking up all in the industry, and people are starting to listen, right? And I kind of feel like that in my own little ecosystem in my house. But then it also, again, by having to advocate, we learn more about ourselves. We become more confident in our thoughts and in our values and our why, as far as why we're doing the thing
Yeah.
that we're doing, why it's worth advocating for, right?
Why
Um,
even yeah, I always feel, I used to think advocating was outside of myself.
mm,
But why is it important to advocate for this feeling that I'm feeling, this thing I'm unpacking? Me is very new at 47,
yeah,
still learning how to do that in this time.
yeah. And saying the words, I'm sure, is some days flows and some days doesn't flow with the things that we're advocating for in our lives.
Mm.
Right? Which is just an observation that we need to observe. There's nothing right or wrong about that. Just like you said last week, it was uncomfortable. Like, why is this uncomfortable for me in this moment right now? And you recognized it, right? And was able to move on. But just knowing that it's not just because you think you've figured something out doesn't mean it's not ever gonna bubble up and be hard again.
Oh, God.
I know, it's a reality.
Sarah, that wasn't the answer I wanted.
I know.
I want it to be gone.
Yeah.
No, I don't. There's a part of me that does.
Yeah.
Me knows this is life. This
Yeah.
feels alive, and people are actually brings connection to people. You know, I probably would not have had this conversation with you 20 years ago auditioning for Marguerite Derricks for Fame LA.
It's true, right? And what a beautiful thing. I love having these conversations. Like it's human.
It's human, and it is something that I love about this podcast. I love about acting. What do you have to say to any dancers who are scared to transition from dancing to acting?
Go audit as many acting classes as you can. They're all very different vibes, different techniques. Find the one that you vibe with the most and dive in with 2 feet. Just do it.
Dive in. I'm right. I have class tomorrow. Dive in with 2 feet.
Yes. Do it.
Yeah. And I do. But then but everyone diving in, it seems like the pool gets deeper or it changes. It's a new pool each day.
Yeah, it is. And it can be exhausting, right? Like for me, sometimes class was mentally exhausting. And I found there was a stint in class where, doing repetition, the Meisner technique to warm up, I would cry every time. And after 2 months, 3 months of that, of every time, I was like, I'm exhausted. Why am I crying every class doing this? Like,
you needed to.
You did too?
No, you needed to.
Oh, I needed to. Yeah, I did. And that's where but then I was like a little bit upset with myself because I'm like, figure out what's going on in your own life. Because whatever that is maybe standing in the way of class, of you growing as an actress, right? But then like now, but also we go through different seasons, right? And sometimes it's just
you can take a break. Yeah. You can sit at the edge and just put your feet in the pool.
Yeah.
But
I'm a Libra. I like balance. I needed a little laughter in there, I think. And it was just getting too heavy.
Yeah. Especially because you're already, if you can be in your head, meaning diving in, unpacking, that can be heavy,
just emotionally draining.
But I will say this, all of you dancers who are technical, who think, that's why I always felt Maddie Ziegler when she was little and I was around her, and when I was around her, I always knew, and I would tell her mom and those that, yes, she was so in her head because of the technique, but like Howard Fine says, those usually make dancers like that can really make incredible actors because they rehearse. They know class. Like you said, they know you got to take class. They don't wing it. They really put a lot of work into it. And also behind that, then you can just fly. Once we let that go, all that's bubbling up can show itself and make a beautiful piece of art.
Yeah. The work ethic I learned being a dancer has helped me in so many ways in life.
I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours. I
Me
want to
too.
go down the Nobody's Angels because I
Sure.
know people are probably like, okay, we want to hear about Nobody's Angels. You got that text from someone recently that I couldn't believe. I don't mean it that way, but he was like, oh my God, I love Nobody's Angels. And he knew the dance and the video.
Yeah.
What was that experience like being in a pop girl group in the Millennium?
Oh, it was a whirlwind. I knew nothing about the music industry whatsoever going into this. It was in an era where record companies were just throwing money at pop groups. Like there was actually money in the music industry. Like it was before streaming, it was before all of that stuff. So it was a different time for sure. It was eye-opening and also hard to absorb because I didn't know what was going on. Where was it? Morelandis? I think in the Valley is where the auditions were. So I went and auditioned. And look, I am not Mariah Carey. I am not. I was a part of this pop group and we got signed to Disney, like huge conglomerate, right? And we did live shows at Disneyland, Disney World. We were on the Disney Channel, which is how we got hooked up with Boy Meets World because Disney owns ABC. Like it was this mecca, right? And throughout this whole thing, I had a really hard time with my identity because I'm a perfectionist. And because I couldn't sound like Mariah Carey, I had no business with a record contract.
You were self-sabotaging.
Yes.
The self-sabotage part.
100%. But that phrase was not around then. So I had a really hard time personally. I couldn't enjoy it the way I wished I would have. I was an advocate of like, we need to get in singing lessons. Like I personally need to, like I had the record company, give me singing lessons, voice lessons. Because I was not comfortable in my skin because I was saying I was this singer on camera, but then off camera, I knew I wasn't where I wanted to be as a singer. So my identity.
I feel as though a lot of groups back then you weren't the only one that was like that.
No, but
they created that illusion and you kind of had to sell that illusion.
Yes. I think just integrity, right?
That's the word I was thinking of. Yes.
Yeah. I had a really, really personal hard time with that entire, like, oh my God, we got to make 2 albums. Like I was in the recording studio. We opened up for Britney. We opened up for AJ from the Backstreet Boys when he did his solo stuff. Like
you opened up for Britney on her tour?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And then you ended up dancing for her in the one, you're in a car, right?
Yep. Do something. Yeah. But I was in Baby One More Time too.
Oh yeah. Wow. Yeah. Do you still talk to Britney? Have any contact?
I don't. So, but I just listened to her audiobook and it kind of filled in some blanks for me as far as like what happened because I did Baby One More Time. We did the mall tour. So it was me and one of the girls from New York. I forgot what her name is. Anyway, the 3 of us were touring around doing mall stuff.
Did you do it with Carissa?
I'll get there.
Oh, okay.
So, so we were doing the mall tour. And then Nobody's Angel came around and we had to kind of stop doing other things to focus on the group and be ready for whatever. So I called Britney's camp and I was like, hey, I can't do this anymore, but I have a girl in mind that could take my place. And it was Carissa. So I was like, here's her name and number. I think she'd be a great addition to the group. So then she kind of took over my spot.
So you were actually in the beginning stages of Britney's career.
Yeah. So when we were traveling from mall to mall, we would just take a limo. So we'd all be in the limo together. And she's so
Yeah.
innocent and so sweet. Felicia was with us, and just the sweetest woman ever, taking care of her. And it was so fun. It was before anything, like it was just us girls like hanging out in the limo with, like, we'd walk through a mall, nobody knew who she was, it was crazy.
And then you worked with her again when I'm sure everyone did know who she was. Do something.
Yes.
How did that happen?
After she shaved her head, she did a House of Blues tour. And so she called my agent and asked if I would be a part of it. So,
Aww.
and like before that, we had done like the Pepsi commercials and stuff. So, and I would see her here and there. And I was like, yeah, like, let's do it. Like, what's this all about? And she was looking for more blondes. So, Lark, Melanie Lewis, and
Jen Strovis, right?
And Jen Strovis. Yeah. The four of us got together. We did this video, and then we did the M&M tour. We were called the M&Ms, and it was like, instead of the headliner being Britney Spears at the House of Blues, it was the M&Ms, and it was kind of like this underground, like all of her like fan people.
Oh, I
knew
wish
it
I
was
would have
her.
known. I would have totally gone.
It was
I
so
love that
fun.
she, Britney has such a sweet soul.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised that she wanted to bring you back in because of how grounding and loving you can be. That probably felt good for you to be around her at that time.
Yeah, she's so sweet. And so, yeah.
Talk about being exploited by the music industry.
Oh my God. It breaks my heart. Really. It really does.
Yeah. And she's not done, and maybe meaning for herself, maybe with music she is.
Yeah.
But I still think that there is healing that's happening, which is good.
Yeah. Agreed.
Well, first of all, everyone, I am in a Nobody's Angels video.
You are.
Your first one.
Yeah. If you want to dance.
That was a huge hit.
Yeah, it was big. It was big.
And we shot it. Actually, I was at Universal recently and I saw that water area.
Yeah.
That's where we shot it. Well,
that's
that part.
where we shot it. Yeah. You guys were on a float or like a raft that was just moving in the water because you guys were like, Fatima choreographed it.
Yes.
And you guys were just moving out there.
Fatima, she just did Renaissance. She just did Still Going, Fatima. She just did
killing it.
The Super Bowl last year for Rihanna.
I loved it.
So
good.
My experience was, I am a believer in my talent, but I know Sarah Smith and Stacey Harper helped me get that job because I definitely was not the best at hip hop. But my recollection is being in the back and then her saying, "Okay, John, come back and do your flip and then go to the back again."
That's okay.
It is. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. But so do you still talk to the girls? Is there going to be a reunion?
The last time we connected was maybe like 8 or 9 months ago. There was a possible reunion that was going to happen down in Florida, actually. And just some logistics didn't work out, unfortunately, and it ended up not happening. But not to say that it never will.
I bet you it will. I know it will.
Yeah, it would be fun for sure. I think I definitely enjoy it more now than I could.
So what would you have done if that opportunity came to you now, what you knew? How would you enjoy it differently?
I would take the pressure off of myself to be Mariah Carey today and be like, do the work. Like, if if you're not feeling 100% in this role and comfortable in your skin doing this right now, what will it take for you to be more comfortable in your skin? And that would just be to take classes.
And maybe also too, maybe if you knew your why, how much people were enjoying what you were doing, just being you.
Yeah.
With the voice that you have, with the dancing, how much joy you brought to kids back
Yeah.
then, which
So
is
true.
what it's all about, not
Yeah.
our technique, really.
Oh my gosh, thank you for that. Yes. Good point. Yeah, take the pressure off ourselves and go, why are we doing this? What joy are we bringing to the world? What joy are we, bringing to our audience? Yeah.
And that's for everyone that's listening too. Even if you want to act, you don't have to move to LA to act.
No.
You can do it where you live. There's theater companies, there's acting classes. It's not a Mariah Carey, Meryl Streep world. That's
Right.
fine for them, but it's really just about entertaining people, make people feel, because you never know how you're affecting people. Just like that guy that I met recently and was saying he still plays your music.
Yeah.
He's 29, so that probably makes sense because he was really young
Yeah.
at the time listening to it. So
Yeah.
that's something really good. And just so much, your career goes so much from dance to acting to singing. Is there any other acting projects that you're working on or that came out recently that we can all watch?
There's an independent film called Wild Goat Surf that just came out that I have a pretty pivotal role in. That was a fun project to do. And I've written a couple things. So I might be putting my producer's hat on and getting these things in front of the camera. So
I am going to ask you this one question before we go to the fun questions.
mhm.
What gave you the courage? You might think that's an interesting word that I said that. The courage to move out of LA and not act here.
Wow. Such a good question. I don't think that it was courage, honestly. I think it was fear that had me move away. And I was in love. I was in love, and it was a time in my career that I was burnt out and maybe a little bit fearful of what wasn't going to be next. Yeah, honesty. It hurt.
No, I because it's interesting that I still think that's courageous
Mm,
because people would have stayed, and I've seen them stay because that's their identity, and they
mm,
feel trapped and they get depressed and they go down a dark path because they think this is all they have. So, not to invalidate what you're feeling. I mean, I know that feeling of self-doubt and fear.
yeah.
But
I've
would you
always
ever move?
been
Go ahead.
I've always been very gut instinct.
Hmm.
I didn't think a lot about the move. It was my gut going, you need to do this right now. And looking back at it and unpacking that move, that's kind of what I've come up with, is that it was fear. Um,
Fear of LA or fear of moving?
no, fear of what was next or the lack of what was next. Like I had no vision of what could be next on my plate of jobs. Like I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know
What
what I was.
year was this?
'08.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, October of '08. Yeah.
So that was Okay, that was long. For some reason, I thought you moved, I want to say somewhat recently, but I guess that wouldn't make sense because your son is how old?
14.
14.
Yeah.
So you had a son out here?
No, I
No.
got pregnant the first week I moved up here.
See,
Yeah.
God knew the plan.
Yeah, it was meant to be like, and that's the thing. It's like, again, going with your gut instinct, right? And listening to it. I don't know. I believe in that full heartedly. There might be outside things that play a part in that, but like going with your gut instinct is crucial. And that goes for acting too, right? And that's being in the flow, is not thinking about it, but just reacting off your gut instinct. So,
And it can be extremely opposite of what we're taught because especially us as dancers and people who perform, it's like, no, you got to stay here. You got to become a star. You got to be this. You got to have these goals. And it's like, but my instinct is saying to leave.
mm-hmm.
Maybe that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
That's the courage when you had everything opposite, maybe, as far as, in my opinion, in looking
Yeah.
at you, that I think it's a great thing. I think people can always move back. There's a friend of mine, she moved recently to get out, and she's been in the business since I was here, and it was like so confusing for her, like, but I don't feel I should be here, and like all this stuff was coming up, and I said she was so scared. She didn't, it was similar, like, I don't know if I'm going to be happy if I move, or I forget what she said, but there's this woman I love, Byron Katie, and she talks about thoughts. You would love her. And it's
Yep.
about looking at your thoughts. And the thought was, I'm worried I'm going to be sad if I move. And we had this talk at lunch, and I said, have you ever thought about how you're going to be sad if you don't move? And she was like, I'm like, it gave her freedom to move. Like, oh yeah, like I'm sad here already.
Right. What am I holding on to?
And so she moved a couple years, and now she's moving back.
Awesome. Yeah.
And she got to learn what that had to offer in that experience. There's no necessarily failing, so to speak. There's just learning and trying and failing, and then you can always move back.
And learning from it, right? It's the growth, right? That we were talking about earlier. It's like, that's life.
Would you ever move back after your kids are older and to do a big TV show?
Oh, if that came my way, for sure. Although my husband hates LA, so we might have to talk about what that looks like exactly. But honestly, I love where I live right now. It is with the industry here. Like, I'm shooting this trilogy here in the Okanagan where I live. I get a piece of the industry without getting smacked in the face with it.
Yeah.
I still get to do what I love, but kind of in bite-sized pieces while I'm still raising my kids. So I write a gratitude journal every morning. And it's like, oh my gosh, like,
yeah,
I'm so grateful.
Sounds as though you have it all.
Well, I mean, nobody has it all, but holy crap, I have a lot to be grateful for.
Well, you have a family, you have kids, you love teaching dance, you have acting.
Yeah.
I mean, you're working.
Absolutely. Yes.
And then there's always people here that are working. I know them, women. They don't have a family, they don't have kids, and they're looking at you going, I wish I had her life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's hard to absorb. Thank you. Like, I know you're meaning that as a compliment, but I think that's hard to absorb because everybody has crap that they're dealing with. You know what I mean? Like, there's always things, right? Nobody lives a perfect life. So,
and maybe I was telling you that because where you're at, if you're ever looking at those women that are successfully acting right now,
Yes. And
they're
being
looking at
envious
you.
or
You're
whatever.
wanting what they want, and they're wanting what you
Yeah.
have. So it's this type of. I feel like I've even used you as an example to one of them. So, okay. So we are nearing the end, everyone.
Oh no.
Until we meet again, and I know I'll have you on again. I'd love to have you on to talk more about the journals. And what are those? Tell everyone what those are again.
It's called My Dance Journal, and you can get them on Amazon. And it's My Dance Journal with no spaces if you're going to search it. And it's really about focusing on your thoughts, words, and actions.
I'd love to have you on for something else to really just zone in on that. Sounds like you can use it for dance or anything.
Oh, for anything. Yeah, for sure. Because, yeah, our thoughts create our reality.
And our emotion.
Yep. Yeah, they're everything. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Ready for these?
I'm ready.
Get some different ones because you dance and acted. I didn't put the singing in there. I will next time. But you're going to get a lot of questions. So this is a rapid fire. Go off your gut. Your gut.
Okay.
What's the boldest thing you've done? One of.
Jumped from a high elevation into a lake because I'm so scared of water.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. That is bold.
That's huge around here. There's lots of cliff jumping. Yeah.
Who's your favorite dancer?
Ooh, what's her name? I should know her name if she's my favorite dancer. She's out of New York. Megan.
Who?
Megan Sennett.
Megan's Megan Sennett. I used to teach her.
Really?
I used to teach her at Natalie Willis's studio.
Okay.
That's where she's from.
So I am like, jazz is my thing. I love teaching jazz. And like the first time I saw her, I've never met her in person. I've never seen her dance in person. I only know like the world we live in. I only know her on Instagram.
That's good. So your favorite dancer is Megan Sennett.
Yes.
Favorite actor, actress?
Goldie Hawn.
Ooh. Yeah, you totally have Goldie Hawn vibes too, especially Austin Powers, everyone.
Yeah.
You pretty much played her.
I did from laughing. Yeah.
Who is your favorite choreographer? And I'm going to use this word favorite because we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but who's your favorite choreographer?
That I've worked with?
No, just anything. It's your choice.
I'm going to give a shout out to Becca Schweitzer right now. I am so impressed with the work that she's done lately. She's done full musicals. And when I was in LA last time, I got to see one of the ones that she did. And it's regional theater. It's really good theater. And she has to choreograph an entire musical.
Yeah, everyone Google Becca Schweitzer.
Yeah.
And you will see her stuff for favorite choreographer.
Yeah.
Favorite director?
Ooh. I'm working with Paula Ellie right now, and she's pretty amazing.
You are so sweet. You're like picking all your people that you work with. I love that about you.
Well, because it's like that personal rapport, right? Like
Yeah, no, I love that. It's interesting to always hear people's answers and where they pull from. Favorite dance movie?
Grease 2.
Ooh, we are even more alike. Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yes. Oh my God. She's right up there with Goldie Hawn for me.
Yeah, good. Yeah, she should be.
Yeah.
I love that you said Grease 2. I would have been so happy with Grease. But Grease 2 is a whole nother level.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's like, okay. Favorite movie outside of dance?
Princess Bride.
So random. I would never think you would pick that. Favorite style of dance?
Jazz.
Yeah, you said that. Favorite Broadway show?
Ooh. Chicago.
Did you ever do it?
No. But
you still can. You could totally be in it.
Roxy would be. That's like
I'm calling
a North Star.
I'm calling it. You could do Roxy and they need to hire you.
Let's put it out there.
Then you only have to go to New York for 6 weeks.
Right.
It's not that long.
I love New York. I'll go there.
Well, thank you so much. Why don't you give everyone you already gave for My Dance Journal, but all your other socials and information.
Yeah. Sarah Christine Smith on Instagram. And I believe it's like Sarah_Christine_Smith. On Facebook, I think I'm Sarah Podollan. So Podollan, because that's my married name. IMDb, Sarah Christine Smith.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want to catch up and see what she's done, see all the Lifetime movies she's been in.
Yeah. Hallmark. I've done a couple of Hallmarks up here.
Hallmark, I meant.
Really fun.
Hallmark, Lifetime. Yeah.
Lifetime
too.
Same.
Oh, you've done Lifetime too?
I am right now.
Oh, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
You know I love Lifetime. Yeah. Why is that?
Dance Moms.
There we go. We'll finish on that. We didn't talk about, we have to end on a Dance Moms note. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. I'll see you soon.
Yeah. I hope I get to see you soon. It was so great talking to you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for listening to Dance Dad with John Corella. Thank you to everyone at Hivecast for all that you do. And if this episode meant something to you, please share it and subscribe. Also, you can follow Dance Dad with John Corella on all platforms. But most importantly, remember to be bold and be fierce.